Man, it's 0 dark 30 here in Bangkok, man. And I was just sitting there thinking, man, that dog ain't in everybody. That dog ain't in everybody, man. And to be honest, it's the one element that's keeping a lot of people from moving forward to where they want to be. A lot of it is not a knowledge thing. You can watch certain content and read all the books you want. Like, if that one element isn't in you, you aren't going to be moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that dog, y'all know what I mean. That dog meaning you're the type person, when you set a destination, like, you're going to get to that destination by any means necessary. Like, it may take you 3 or 4 times longer than everybody else. You might make a few mistakes before you get there. You might have to sit in timeout for a few, minutes before you get there. But there's nothing that's gonna stop you from getting to that point. You know what I'm saying? And I'm understanding everybody doesn't have that. Everybody doesn't have that, man. I got some partners, man, some brothers in the circle, some brothers I just know. I don't care if the world were to rob them of every single thing they had. I don't care if they were to lose their job, their wife, their family, their means of transportation. They could lose every single thing. And I'm 100% sure that at some point in time, those guys will be right back where they were and still tracking forward. Because they have that element inside of them. Like, there's an element, and to be honest, man, I'll say this. Like, I was sitting there pondering when I was walking up here, man. So I'm finna make this video. When I was walking up here, I was thinking, I said, man, that element, is it something that a man is born with, or is it something that a man obtains over time? And to be honest, I'm really not sure. To be honest, I'll say this. To be honest, I think some people tap into it at a young age, and you can kind of see how they move. But I think every man has the ability to find it. Every man has the ability to go in there and find it. But I'm going to tell you, man, all the content you watch, all the books you read, the seminars, bro, until you find that thing to where it's like, hey, I'm gone. Like, this is where I'm going. Until you find that and nothing can stop me from getting there type element, brother, stop reading the books. Because it's just going to aggravate you. You know what I'm saying? And when I say, you're going to get to that end goal by any means necessary, meaning, like, exactly that. Meaning, you're going to, like, I'm always talking about the journey, and I'm always talking about the path. Like we can make it seem like the journey and the path to success or whatever is smooth sailing, but you're fully aware there are going to be some pitfalls. There are going to be some Dungeons and Dragons. There are going to be some people that were in your life that aren't there anymore. There's going to be some losses in there, but you're still willing to take that journey, and you're 100% sure you're going to get to the end goal. Everybody doesn't have that element, man. The element, this is what I'll say it like this. The element where you're willing to risk it all to get to the end goal. That's what I really want to say. Like in other words, I can look at my life, right? And I'm just using myself for an example. I can look at my life and even look back to when I was a young man, and when I say, hey, you know what? This is what I want to desire. It was by any means necessary. It was I'm willing to risk it all to get to that point. Like, I'm willing to risk it all to get to that next level. I'm willing to step out there, and if it doesn't win, is what I'm saying. If it doesn't win, that old world is no longer supported because I've stepped off of it. I'm willing to go all the way to the bottom on this new level, on this new journey, if it doesn't win. That right there alone is what's keeping most men, stuck or not being able to move forward. You gotta have a certain element about yourself, man. You have to have some resilience. You have to have some resilience. Because, like I just said, man, like you can get on the gram and the book and the tube, and people may make it seem like life is always good. But if you're living a certain type life, if you're on a journey and you're always trying to get to the next level and and just trying to expand, be in God mode, you're a builder. If you're in that mode, brother, I'm gonna tell you this. There are some seasons. There are gonna be several seasons where you're not necessarily in a winning position. That just comes with the territory. That just comes with the territory. You know what I'm saying? There are gonna be a lot of times, man, where you're sitting there looking in the mirror and you say, hey, you know what? Right now, I'm currently at what I'll call my bottom of my journey. Or right now, everything isn't good. Or right now, you know, I've just taken a loss in this business, or I just took a loss in my real estate, or I just took a loss in my relationship. You know what I'm saying? And you got to call it what it is. Part of having that dog in you is being able to be honest with yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be able to look at yourself and say, okay, you know what, man, my situation is what it is because I did something somewhere. Let me track down. Let me find out what I did to make this situation happen and make it right. But a lot of people don't do that. What a lot of people do is when times get hard, they want to look to where everybody else, why every other source is the reason of their mishap. To have that dog, you got to be honest with yourself, man. It bothers me, man, when everybody's looking outside of themselves and complaining. And I'm not saying don't look outside of yourself and identify something, but then what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it then? You don't like your job? What are you going to do about it? You going to bitch and complain for 30 years? What are you going to do about it? You don't like the side of town you're on? You don't like the city you're in? You don't like the country you're in? What are you going to do about it? It takes an element inside of you to say, okay, I've identified an issue. Now let me make change by any means necessary. You know what I'm saying? But you got to have that resilience, though, man. You got to be able to say. That's what I was getting to. You got to be able. You got to understand that journey is not going to be. That journey is not going to not contain any turbulence. That journey is not going to contain, zero turbulence. You're gonna have times, man, where there are rough patches, there are setbacks, and you got to just go with the flow. It's part of the journey. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm always saying, and not saying that I've started this, but it's always being said, right, to live from the end. Because if you aren't living from that end goal, bro, I really don't see how you can make it. I really don't see how you can bring this element that I'm speaking of and put it into play if you aren't living from the end goal. If whatever you see around you is not the end goal. You know what I'm saying? So man, you gotta be resilient, man. Another thing is too, and me and a lot of my brothers in the power circle been talking about this the last few weeks. As we've been talking about, we in a series talking about being builders, right? One thing that makes a person, or let me say it like this. One thing that a person that has that dog in them, one thing about that person is they can move forward. And I'm saying this because this is the element that keeps a lot of men from tapping in to that and keeping a lot of men from moving forward. A lot of people think that everything that you move in has to be in a state of perfection. It has to be perfect, or a lot of people won't move forward towards it. You know what I'm saying? To have that element that I'm speaking of in you, man, you got to be able. First off, you got to be a builder, but at the same time, you got to be a person that says, "Hey, you know what? Okay, I've never built this before. I've never seen anybody build this before, but I'm about to start putting hammer to nails. I'm about to start the process and just correct it as I go." You know what I'm saying? Like you can look at all the greats, and I'm not talking about the ancient greats. I'm talking about the greats of this time. The billionaires of this time. And we can name a million of them. When you look at their process, man, a lot of these guys started off in their garage putting something together and just over time perfected it. You know what I'm saying? When all the naysayers were across the road talking noise about the Jeff Bezos's with the Amazon spray painted on his wall in his garage. Epic picture. You know what I'm saying? He just started. We're going to call this thing Amazon. We're going to start off, we selling books. You know, Amazon started off as a online bookstore. I remember when it first started. It was like an online bookstore. He didn't know that Amazon was going to be what it is today, but he started the process. That's that dog, man. Like that's that element. That's one of the elements that's going to separate you from everybody else, man. It's just starting the process, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then too, you got to understand this. Because you can start that journey. You can start your journey going to wherever you want to start it. But even once you start it, even if you have the gonads, even if you have the courage to dare, like Hannah said, you still going to run into a roadblock if you ain't got that dog in you. And that roadblock is going to be, you're going to get caught up in the dead ends of life. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get caught up in the dead ends. I made a video. I think I took it off. It was a video I had for sale some years ago. It was called, it was something called like, there are doors at dead ends or something like that, man. I'm sure a lot of y'all about that. I remember. But you got to understand this. A lot of people get caught up in dead ends. And what I mean by that is, like, you got to understand this world has set traps for us. Right? Let me get a little squeal real quick. This world has set traps for us. Soak on it for a second. And what I mean by that when I say the world has set traps, what I mean is if you subscribe to the path that the world gives us, not saying that you shouldn't play that game, but if you fully subscribe to the whole come out of school, go to trade, military, go to school, buy a house, get married, if you go through that blueprint that the world gives us, standard issue blueprint, at some point you're gonna find yourself in a trap. You're gonna find yourself at a job that you don't like, but you can't get out of it because you've made certain decisions. And those decisions could be because you went and got a $500,000 mortgage, or because you went out and started a family prematurely and got the 3.5 kids and 2.7 dogs. You know what I'm saying? And you'll find yourself in a hole where you'll say, hey, you know what? I played the game of life. I read the instructions and built my house on the blueprint that the world gave me. But now I see myself in position where I can't get out. Like I can't get out of this situation, man. Like this is life now. This is the person I'm with. This is the mortgage I have for the next 30 years. I can't move. This is the job I have because I've invested so much into it, and I got student loan debt, and I got that. You know what I'm saying? And you say, man, this is a dead end. Right there, most people shut it down. Most people shut it down, fully subscribe on a lifetime membership of the Matrix, and move no further and call that life. But at some point, man, if you have that element inside of you, even if you were fully subscribed to that, at some point, it's going to start bothering you. At some point, very quickly, you're going to become very uncomfortable, and that dog is going to come to the forefront. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to start thinking of ways to bend the matrix, to escape the matrix, to build your own matrix in time. To build your own matrix in time. Quick plug, recipe 2 coming out. How to build your own matrix where you can live, where you can. I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm gonna tell you this, and this might be off topic. We might start going somewhere else with this conversation. I don't know how much storage space I got on my thing, man. But I'm gonna tell you this. There's a way that you can tap into a thing. Or let me say it like this. God put things into place where if you moved a certain way, position yourself a certain way energetically, you could create your own reality. A reality that doesn't even make sense to everybody around you. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make sense to the masses. That only makes sense to people that have that same understanding. I wish I would have saved this video. I saw this video, and I might have saved this girl, or this young lady, young sister, and she was talking about everybody in her life. She was like, everybody in my life, they don't understand how I do what I do. They don't understand how I get my income. They don't understand how. She kind of went through all these scenarios. I'm not sure where she was from, but she was like, they don't understand it. And then she said, even when I'm trying to explain it to them, they don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? She said, I'm trying to tell you, I'm giving you the one-on-one on, hey, this is how I move. This is what I blew. This is what I tapped into. She said, they still don't get it. And I'm understanding, man, that of course, a lot of people just don't understand that knowledge exists. But sometimes you speaking that dog talk, you speaking that God talk, you speaking that big boy talk, and if somebody doesn't have that element inside of them, then you might as well be speaking pig Latin. You know what I'm saying? You might as well be speaking Greek. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is, because I could talk about that. That might be a whole nother video. That's a whole nother topic. But all I'm saying is this, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this. Keep reading what you're reading. Keep watching all the content you're watching. But if you're consuming this content and your life is still not doing what it's doing, it's not a knowledge thing. Like, you don't have to read another book. What you have to do is go inside and find that thing. What you have to do is go inside and find that trust in yourself. You have to go inside and find that system that God put in place that you can stand on. Where everybody else is saying, oh, look at him, he's walking on water. You got to find that system and ride that wave of life. You know what I'm saying? And tap into that balanced being inside of you that I speak of quite often. That's willing to put everything on the line. That's willing to take life's major L's to get to where he's going. You got to find that dog, brothers.